my name is Lady Dr. Price, and welcome back to my channel where we talk about living holistically and leading by example. So today I am going to do another book review, this time on Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins. And this is the newer edition because apparently there was an older edition, but that's what we're going to be talking about today. And you may be wondering, like, okay, so Money Master the Game, what on earth does that have to do with living holistically? What does that have to do with health, Lady Dr. Price? So I'm glad you asked. I look at health as a holistic matter, right? So holistically speaking, financial stability is financial health. So health has many tiers to it, right? Health has mental health, it has physical health, it has financial health, spiritual health. There's many different tiers, and even in one of my prior videos I talked about environmental health. So we're talking about finances because we want to try to get our financial health in order as well, because it's important. I will be doing a video on the social determinants of health, and one of the social determinants is finances. So your socioeconomic status also has a heavy bearing on your overall health as well. That's why we're talking on finances today. So back to the book. Money Master the Game. I often enjoy and recommend most of the books that I read. Typically, if I don't recommend it or do a review on it, that's because I probably didn't make it all the way through the book. I probably have maybe one or two books over the years that I really couldn't finish because I entirely lost any interest in them. But other than that, most of the books that I read, I do recommend. But this one in particular is one of them ones, okay? I'm going to go ahead and tell you that now. This is like the Bible for financial health and mental well-being. And I'm sure you're probably thinking, mental well-being, how does a finance book also address mental well-being? But let me tell you. So the book is written by Tony Robbins. In case you don't know who Tony Robbins is, which I don't know why you wouldn't know, but in case you don't know, Tony Robbins is kind of a jack of all trades. This man does all kinds of stuff, but his bread and butter is as a motivational speaker. He has multiple businesses as well as a life and entrepreneurial coach. So on top of all of that, a lot of things, I'm sure you've seen videos and such with Tony Robbins motivational speaking. He is phenomenal. He does a great job, and he's very thought-provoking. So throughout the book, he not only gives the financial advice, financial tips, financial education, but he also sprinkles in there some profound quotes from different people. But not only that, he discusses different mindset matters as well, because you think about it, you have to get your mindset right in order to do better in any area of health, right? Your mindset has to get better in order for your physical health to get better, in order for your financial health to get better, mental health, and so on. So addressing mindset first is very important. So one of the highlights of this book is that Tony Robbins interviews multiple investors, like high-end investors. So like Ray Dalio, for example, which he speaks on multiple times throughout the book. Well, that's towards the end, and he gives you a transcript of these interviews, right? Phenomenal lessons and things to learn about in their conversations. But throughout the book, he is presenting these different concepts and ideas from these people. So he interviews, it's maybe 9 or 10 people that he interviews and gives you this information, and it's just very helpful. So that's one of the highlights. But then not only with that, I have to tell you, the book is 600 pages long. Okay, I know what you're saying. How am I gonna read a 600-page book, Lady Dr. Price? No, I don't think this is for me. I'm not a reader like that. That's okay, because never fear, audiobooks are here. You can always listen to this book. You don't have to physically read it, and take your time. It's a big stack of pancakes. You eat it one pancake at a time. Me personally, I thought I was going to do it in a month. It took me about a month and a half because there's also some different exercises and stuff in the book that you have to do as well, which are super helpful. So it is over a 600-page book, but I decided to get the physical copy and buy a physical copy in particular because this book was recommended by Ian Dunlap himself as being like the gold standard. So I had to buy this book because I already knew that I'm going to be coming back to it and referencing it in the future for my own education and, financial support, right? So I bought the physical book. Shout out to the master investor. If you don't know about him, please look him up. Check out his YouTube videos. Check out EYL. Check out Market Mondays because you need to know. Check out Red Panda because you need to know. Shout out to my red pandas. So yeah, I bought the book and it's definitely worth the investment. It's definitely worth you investing into yourself to get this book. It's only like $22 I think I spent for it. So, and you don't have to get the new version. So it could be less than that as well. There is also an app that you can download with the book. The app doesn't have the book in it, but it has kind of like calculators and everything in it. Now, I will warn you, the app is very rudimentary and it kind of sucks. It's very basic, but at the same time, I do recommend when you get the book to actually download it because it's very helpful, particularly for the calculators that it has in it, because he's going to take you through, like, I believe it's in section 3, he's going to take you through actually crunching the numbers for your financial stability number, for your financial independence number, for your financial freedom number, which is super helpful because a lot of times, we think like, oh man, I can't wait to be financially free or financially stable in the very least. And we don't know what that looks like. So how can you shoot for a target if it's a mirage, right? You have to make that target physical, making SMART goals, right? You have to make a physical target in order to know what you're trying to reach. You can't just say, I want to be financially stable, or just like, you can't just say, I want to be physically fit. Like, what does that look like? What are the specific goals you're trying to reach? That makes it more attainable. So I'm saying all of that to say, please download the app when you get this book as well, because it will be helpful for you to crunch those numbers and actually see physically what numbers you're trying to get to. Because he even points this out in the book that a lot of times you're thinking, oh, you got this big old number in your head. I need $10 million. I need $50 million to actually be financially free. But going through the exercises are actually very liberating, because then you realize, oh, I don't actually need $10 million to be financially independent. I don't need like $500,000 to be financially stable. So because he goes from your standard of living right now and even the standard of living you want to live in the future when you're financially free, and actually makes you go in and crunch those numbers and figure out what those expenses would look like, which was very helpful because for me, I do not know how much it is to buy yet even maintain a yacht. So I'm just saying I had to actually do research into my future, which doing that research consequently also gave me more vision for what I want in the future and more specifics, and being able to see the vision, make it plain is like very encouraging, at least for me. I don't know if it will be for you, but I do recommend trying it. He starts first by addressing the mindset of the reader. Investing isn't about beating the game itself as much as it is about optimally positioning yourself to win. One concept that he had pointed out that I thought was really profound was this mindset shift of going from being a passive information gatherer to a passionate advocate for his friends and his readers. I thought that that was a great point because it's especially important for us as leaders to understand the difference in not collecting but giving. This concept he repeats throughout the book. To gain more, you must give more. So you must find a way to provide value to others. And in this, it not only fills your cup, but it also fills others' cups, because it's not just important for you to gain monetarily. The importance is for you to give value in order to gain value. And that could be gaining value in money, that could be gaining value in relationships and fulfillment. It's a mindset shift from money to value, which I thought was beautiful, because we're trying to lead by example, right? Also, in the first part of the book, he outlines 7 simple steps to financial freedom. Those 7 steps are broken down into the 7 sections in the book. So he ends the first section with an overview of the 6 needs that drive humanity. So that includes certainty, comfort, uncertainty, variety, significance, love and connection, that's in the 4, growth, and then contribution. He brings up these 6 needs because it's important for each of us, before investing, before any of this, to realize as a person what are the needs that drive us. So what are our priority needs? Like, is contribution the most important thing to you? Then that needs to be your utmost priority. And then he also discusses about like how significance shouldn't be your top priority. There are people whose significance is their top priority, and he outlines why that's an issue, which I very much agree with him in. But it's also, with these 6 needs, realizing that money should not be your top priority. That money is not really what drives us, right? Which he talks about, which was beautiful. He talks about the sense that it's not really the money that we're after, right? In life, we're after a feeling, we're after an emotion. What is the emotion, the feeling that having more money will provide for us? With having stability and certainty, what kind of feeling are we going after? In switching that mindset, that also helps you, again, to focus on value and not just take. Because again, we're trying to be leaders here, right? We're trying to lead by example. So we need to shift our mindset from taking and collecting to giving. And then with the end of that section, he also discusses, or has the reader make the most important financial decision of their life, which is determining what portion of your paycheck, or what percentage of the amount that you make, that you are going to commit to paying to yourself. Which, a lot of times, if you are like me and you study finances and, listen to these different podcasts and stuff like that, a lot of them will tell you that you need to determine how much you're going to pay yourself, and pay yourself first. Now, when he says that, that is before your expenses. That is before all that. So, groceries and, gas and all that sort of stuff is before all that. How much are you going to invest into yourself? Is that 10%? Are you going to be able to do, 40%? Are you going to be able to do just 5%? You need to determine how much of your paycheck that you can put away into your future. It's very important. Along with character building gems, he also gives plenty of gems on the investor mindset. In that, he explains the importance of compound interest, which, if you don't know what compound interest is, there are so many videos that simplify it for you in just a couple minutes. So I do recommend going out and looking that up, or just getting like a Google AI, definition of it real quick. But you need to understand what interest is and what it does for you, because a lot of times we think of interest as something, there's a penalty on us for borrowing money. But honestly, interest can also work in your favor when you are an investor, when you are the lender. So understanding the importance of compound interest is huge in investing. It's huge in your finances. And he also goes over kind of like an expanded version of Warren Buffett's famous quote, "Be greedy when others are fearful, and fearful when others are greedy." So the next few sections of the book, he actually discusses asset allocation. So if you never heard of asset allocation before, again, I recommend looking these terms up to kind of further research some things. But just to kind of give the gist of it, asset allocation is, so you know what assets are. They're things that give you money in the most basic terms possible I can give. Assets are things that give you money. Liabilities are things that take money away from you, that drain you from money. So an asset allocation is basically learning where to put your money for optimal growth, for optimal security. So he gives examples of these asset allocations that he gets from these big investors, these big players, right, in the investment world. They give you kind of a bit of the blueprint as to how they allocate their assets so that you can kind of copy and figure out what works for you as well. So diversification in risky versus growth investments is a significant and possibly the most significant part of investing. I say that because you need to have riskier investments in order to get bigger gains, but then you have your growth investments to kind of mitigate the risks of that riskier asset allocation, or to hedge those risks pretty much. So when I say that, you don't want to have huge losses when you're taking risks, because a lot of times people think that, oh, you have to risk big in order to win big. Yeah, there are people who do risk a lot in order to actually make a lot, but it's not always necessary. And if you think about it, there's no way that the bigger players are risking it all for the biscuit. They're not doing that because it's just not wise. And how else do you stay on top if you're always risking everything you have? So there's a certain allocation that you have in order for things when they dip, that you are protected from some of that. You're protected from some of the downside. While like the S&P is falling 10%, your portfolio isn't going down the drain 10% with it. There's things you can do to hedge it in order for it to drop maybe like 2%, maybe 5%. You know, you're not risking and losing as much when you know how to allocate your portfolio, which I'm still learning how to do. So that's why I'm reading this book, and that's why I'm telling you guys about it. He has a whole section dedicated to risks. Highly recommend you check that out when you read the book. So something that he discusses is that the catch to this is to create a plan, an investment plan, a portfolio that weathers all seasons. Oftentimes, again, this is a part of that investor mindset we're trying to build. We often think in a bear market, which in a bear market, it's when things are on the dip, right? That's when you start seeing all the red on the charts that start to go down. Versus a bull market, which everything is going green, things are starting to go up, you know, prices and such in the stocks, in the market and everything are starting to go up. Oftentimes, like the general mindsets, the crowd mindset is that when we're in a bull market, everybody's like, oh, you know, we're going to stay in this bull market forever. Like things are just going to continue going up. And that's not true. When people are in, you know, in a bear market or in a recession, we often think, oh, things are just going to keep getting bad. They're going to keep getting worse. Hold on to your money. Don't do anything. Just save. Don't spend any money because it's going to keep going down and keep getting worse. And neither of those are true. So just like life, right? Just like we have to learn how to mitigate our losses in life, whether that be the currency of energy or whatever it is that you're trying to mitigate, you have to realize and have the mindset that there are seasons and ups and downs in everything. So that goes for life, that goes for our emotions, our relationships, for the market, for everything. Everything has seasons. So we have, you know, we have springs, we have summers, winters, and falls in the market as well. In saying that, things do not always go up and they do not always go down. It's going to go up and down. It's going to be a little bit of a roller coaster. But because there are seasons, there is some of this that you can predict. Again, think about it, right? The big players are not just riding the wave and falling off their surfboard. There's a methodology to this. There's pattern studying that's going on that we need to do as well. Even on a smaller scale, we need to learn how to weather these seasons and learn what these seasons are so that we're not freaking out every time it snows, while the big investors know, like, hey, it's winter, but we don't realize that. So yeah, I say all that to say he spells out how to create a lifetime income plan and shows the all seasons strategy curated by Ray Dalio himself. Another reason to get this book. So finally, the book ends with his interviews. So you get to read the transcripts from his interviews with the heavy hitters in the investment world. So when I say you get to read the transcripts, it's not like they're full interview, because like he said, they were together interviewing these different people one-on-one for hours. So he doesn't have like hours worth of transcripts, but he does have like the gist and the important points through everything of their conversation. The people that he interviews are the big hitters, like, I try not to butcher these names: Carl Icahn, David Swinson, John Bogle, Warren Buffett. And with Warren Buffett, he doesn't like actually interview him. It's more like he just kind of gives, like, because Warren Buffett basically said he's given a lot of information over the years, which he has. If you look at not only his interviews, but in the letters to his investors in his company, Warren Buffett has given a lot of information. So he didn't entirely consent to like a full interview because he kind of seen it as being a bit asinine. So along with Warren Buffett, he also interviews Paul Tudor Jones, Ray Dalio, which he's mentioned a million times in the book, Mary Callahan Erdoes, T. Boone Pickens, Kyle Bass, Mark Faber, Charles Schwab, and Sir John Templeton. So these interviews have tons of gems, as if the rest of the book doesn't already. But the last section also ends on a great note with him kind of giving some more motivational discussion and mindset gems again at the end, as well as a talk on some future things, like some technological advancements that are not only coming, but some that are already occurring right now, which were super interesting, especially if you're interested in medicine, because he had like different things that are going on or that are coming in medicine with like nanotechnology and like 3D printing of organs and things like that. Super interesting stuff. So he did end on that note. And like I said earlier in the video, he has tons of great quotes sprinkled throughout the book. And he ends the book with a great quote by the author himself, Tony Robbins, which I will tell you at the end of this video in my 5 quotes that I love, that I always like to end these book reviews with. I only gave you a very brief overview of what this book offers, because you need to actually purchase it and read it. There's no grander way that I can say that you need this book besides saying that you need this book. Okay? There are PDF versions floating around online if that suits your fancy, but why not invest in yourself? We all say that we want freedom, we want better relationships, we want more money, we want a better life, but we won't actually take the time that it takes to study these things. If you want better, you have to study better. So please invest in yourself. I hate to tell you, but if that's you and you refuse to study, then I'm just going to tell you that what you want is actually a pipe dream. If you don't want to actually put the work in, then you're not going to get what you want. You have to put the work in. Like I've said before, faith without works is dead. You can't just wish it into existence. It would be nice, but that's not the way life works. You have to affirm it. You have to act on it in order to manifest it. And as long as I am able, I will provide value to others and be a passionate advocate for health in all of its forms. Financial stability is financial health, period. So, with that said, I will get off of my soapbox and go into my 5 quotes that I loved from this book. You can actually make higher returns by investing regularly in a volatile stock market. One of my earliest mentors, Jim Rohn, always taught me, what you get will never make you happy. Who you become will make you very happy or very sad. To receive conflict-free advice, we must align ourselves with a fiduciary. You can't manage your health if you can't measure it. And the same goes for your finances. From Tony Robbins himself, live life fully while you're here. Experience everything. Take care of yourself and your friends. Have fun, be crazy, be weird. Go out and screw up. You're going to anyway, so you might as well enjoy the process. Take the opportunity to learn from your mistakes. Find the cause of your problem and eliminate it. Don't try to be perfect. Just be an excellent example of being human. And that is all for this book review. I hope y'all enjoyed it. If you have read this book, please leave a comment below and let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked about the book, what you didn't like about the book. I don't actually have too many disagreements. I don't think I know enough about finances to disagree, but I thought that it was very helpful. And I stress that you should get this book. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you later, loves.